Godzilla versus King Kong. This is the highly anticipated matchup, years, decades in the making between these two titans. I mean, do you really need me to explain what the movie's about? Hell, I just watched it and I'm not really sure what it was about. But I know Godzilla and King Kong fought each other. There are things in this movie that are tremendous. And I'm going to start with the VFX, and every person that even touched a computer working on this movie, or worked on the rendering, or worked on a shadow, or worked on one of the wrinkles under Godzilla's eyes deserves a raise. This is some of the greatest CG I've ever seen on film. And I know sometimes people rip this era of movies, and I do too. I'm as guilty of that as anybody, but there is something interesting about the fact that this is a movie that could not have been made in this way at any other time period. Given the advancements that we've had in computer-generated effects over the last few decades, this is really an achievement. And I don't know what's going to happen. We got a long ways to go. If this thing isn't at least nominated for Best Visual Effects, someone should get fired, because this movie looks spectacular in terms of the visual effects department. I think it's well directed. I like the shots in this movie. The action is excellent. I'll talk more about that in a second. I like the use of colors. I think there's some interesting establishing shots. They do a lot of, just neat things. Like there's one moment where Nathan Chandler just pulls up in a car, and I'm like, wow, that was a nice little shot. He kind of swung the camera around. Like, I like that. I like when directors take mundane things. Tarantino's the king of this. Take mundane things and make them very interesting. When Godzilla is fighting King Kong, it is freaking awesome. It is so excellent and unique. They do so much original, cool stuff with the environments. I mean, they don't care about collateral damage, and I'm fine. That's fine. You got Godzilla throwing Kong into buildings. You got them picking buildings up and smashing them over each other. I would have wanted more of that. Honestly, that's all I wanted to see out of this movie. And to many people, that's going to be enough. For a lot of people, that action, those fights will be enough for people to recommend this movie. I understand that. I also love the sound, the sound of the roars and the buildings falling, the explosions. The sound design and editing is wonderful. On a technical level, this is just a phenomenal film. It really is. On a technical level, I have zero complaints. But, and here we go, I can't call this a good movie overall. I mean, there's things about it that are pretty poor. And look, I came into this saying, look, I don't need super layered human characters. All right, just give me enough and I'll be fine watching these two go to battle. The problem is not the lack of depth with the characters, because I expected that. And I know I talk all the time about how much I enjoy character development, how much I enjoy getting emotionally attached to characters, but that's fine. I'm emotionally attached to King Kong and Godzilla. This movie makes no bones about what it's trying to be. There's no pretension coming off of this movie. But the problem is not the lack of depth with the characters. The problem is that there's too many characters. And I know some of them are brought back from Godzilla King of Monsters, which I didn't see, and I don't think you need to, really. Like, I figured out enough about these characters without having to see those movies, but there's too many of them, and I'm sorry, but there is a subplot with Millie Bobby Brown, Brian Tyree Henry, and Julian Dennison, that kid from Deadpool 2, that could have been cut out of the movie. You didn't need it. That entire, and they take up about a solid 30 to 45 minutes of this movie. That could have been 10. You could have had some minor character deliver all that information to you using exposition. That is an entire subplot that should have been on the cutting room floor. The plot's a little bit convoluted, honestly. Like, the very beginning, and I'm not a complete idiot, but I was kind of scratching my head being like, man, this is... They got it. They should simplify this, because if you're going to make a movie that, wears on its sleeve its influences and is aware of the fact that they're not trying to have deep characters, that's all fine, but you keep it nice and simple. This is a popcorn movie. Kiss. Keep it simple, stupid. Lastly, and this is a personal gripe, and some other people probably won't have this complaint, but this movie is being marketed as one will win. The big fight between Godzilla and Kong. At the end of this day, one shall rise and one shall fall. And that is horse manure. And I knew they would cop out, and they did in this movie. So if you're coming into this trying to figure out, I wonder who's going to win, who's going to beat the other, doesn't happen. doesn't happen. That's where I don't know why I'm so passionate about this. I get mad because I knew that's what they were going to do. I knew they wouldn't have the balls to have an actual winner. And I know there's going to be people in the comments, if they watch this, who are going to argue with me about this and say, well, there was a winner. There was not. And I can't spoil it. At some point, maybe I'll go back to Twitter and after this has been out for a few weeks and talk about it. But I hate that. I hate that. I hate that. I hate in big fight team up action movies. I'm not gonna spoil it, but the same thing happened in Batman versus Superman, where it was, oh man, I knew one wasn't gonna kill each other, but oh man, I want to see who's gonna win, who's gonna take this battle. These two are mortal enemies. They hate it. Hey, my mom's named Martha. Best friends. Tee. And the stupid fight sucked. That bothers me. That bothers me a lot, and that's a failure in the marketing in this movie, and it brought down the movie like a few rating points for me, to be completely honest. I wanted to give this movie a positive review. I really did, and on a technical level, it's amazing, but this script is very poor, and I wish it would have been a lot better, because I really was rooting for it. I'm going to give this a disappointing 5 out of 10. And there's going to be people who are going to like it more than I will, and good. I'm glad. Especially if you're big fans of these characters, I'm glad you enjoy it. Truly. It's the same thing with the Zack Snyder Justice League cut. Like, I think to be angry at a person for hating a film is you're not going to find any self-satisfaction through that. You're really not. But the stuff in it that is bad, to me, is amateur hour stuff. So that'll do it for this review. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this movie. I know a lot of people are digging it, and I'm happy to see that people are enjoying it. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. Enjoy yourself. Peace and happiness.